Hey everyone, welcome to Shawn's Garage. Today in the garage, I want to talk about an issue to do with the 6.5 GMC turbo diesels and specifically talk about the PMD modules. This is called a pump mounted driver. We want to cover off today some of the issues, some of the symptoms, and some of the fixes to do with this module. It can cause a lot of frustration for owners of 6.5 turbo diesels. And without further ado, we're going to go over some of the things relating to this. I made myself some notes, so pardon me as I refer to them, but there's a lot of things to do with this module that I think are good points to talk about, and I want to make sure that I cover as much information as I can for you to help you understand the module and if you run into any kind of issues with your 6.5 turbo diesel, that you'll be able to possibly diagnose it. It's not uncommon for 6.5 GMC diesel owners to carry a spare module. In fact, it's a good idea because this part is probably one of the most common parts in the truck that's prone to failure. So get started today. So the 6.5 GMC diesel engines predominantly were in 1990s through to beginning of 2000 model year pickup trucks. I believe in the 2500s and 3500 models. And if your truck is a 6.5 diesel pickup in that year range, chances are you have this module as part of your operating system for your fuel management. The diesel injection system relies on an electronic fuel injection pump, which is controlled by the PMD. So this is typically the pump that's in those trucks. So excuse that this one's a little bit dirty, but this is a Stanodyne pump, and it controls the fuel injection system for the vehicle. The PMD, pump mounted driver, which on the vehicle is mounted to the side of this pump, is a small electronic control module that regulates your fuel injection. It communicates with the injection pump and the ECM, and it's a crucial part of the fuel system, but it's prone to failure due to heat and design flaws. So PMD failures can cause unpredictable stalling, no start conditions, and other drivability issues. Knowing how to diagnose your PMD can save you time and money. So the biggest issue in understanding this here, so it acts as we said, an electronic control unit for the pump. It sends electronic signals to the pump to help regulate fuel delivery. The location, as I mentioned, is on the side of the pump itself, but the pump is mounted in the worst possible place, which is underneath the intake manifold, and it sits, like this. So this is the front of the motor here, where the pump is facing, and it's attached to the block. And then your intake manifold spans over top of this pump, and then your lines come out back here and go off to your injectors. So imagine this sitting underneath an intake manifold, or your intake manifold, and how much heat is created around this. And this being an electronic component can only dissipate so much heat, and it's going to act like a bit of a soak, so it's going to absorb a lot of heat, and there's a circuit board inside of this, and so it's prone to failure with exposure to excessive heat. There is no cooling in this area of the motor, so it can lead to component breakdown. And over time, this excessive heat will cause loss of signal and erratic fuel injection behavior. So, as we mentioned a moment ago, no starting, start and stall, and stalling while you're driving. So you can be in the middle of a trip, you could be driving home from the grocery store, you could be on the highway, And if this pump decides to fail, it will shut the truck off, and you basically are immediately without power. Age is also an issue with these, that as they age, they tend to start to fail. Um, Symptoms of a failing PMD. So, intermittent stalling or a no start condition. So, you can go out to your truck, hot or cold. If the PMD has failed, it can cause the truck to not start at all. It'll just crank and do nothing. You can have symptoms where suddenly it shuts down while you're driving. Again, the PMD gets to a certain temperature and then it stops sending a signal and effectively causes the truck to shut down. Difficulty restarting the truck while it's warm. So sometimes you'll notice if the truck stalls on you, say on the road, and you manage to pull over, if you let the truck cool down for a little bit, likely it will restart until it gets back up to that critical temperature, in which case it would immediately stall again. So that is an issue. And it can take 20, 30 minutes for the truck to cool down enough for this module to actually restart the vehicle. Trouble codes that can relate to a PMD failure. So the scan tool might show codes like P1216, P0251, or P0370. The codes indicate the injection pump timing or fuel control module issue. It's not necessarily a sign of failure, but you may also experience with inferior PMDs other symptoms like loss of cruise control. So not all of these are created equal. There are a lot of inexpensive brands that exist on Amazon, on eBay, and unfortunately, you often get what you pay for. So, the Stanodyne version is a really good one. That's the OE style one. Dorman is another brand of module that is of better quality than some of the inferior ones that you might find online. Flight Systems is another one that is a very well built module. So you have to watch, what you purchase. If you purchase a inexpensive PMD and you put it on your truck and you still have a hard to start, it can be the module still. Don't just assume that because you bought a new module that it's actually gonna, or it has fixed or will fix the problem. Some of the inferior modules can be very temperamental as well. So, for example, in my own situation, my 6.5 diesel, which we'll show you here later in the video, I purchased an inexpensive module, and it allows the truck to start, but the truck is hard to start. And so the truck will actually run as though it's got excessive fuel. And so it'll sort of chug a bit at first. You shut the ignition off, turn it back on, and start the truck, and it'll start just fine. So it's always on the first start, the PMD causes the vehicle to run rough. We have a scenario also with that same truck that when we replaced the failed PMD with a budget Amazon PMD, we actually lost cruise control. So, the cruise control quit working, and that was something related to the PMD also. So PMDs can do a lot of weird things in the vehicle. So make sure you buy a quality one to help ensure, your truck is going to run the way it should. So investing a little bit more money is well worth it, especially if it means you're not going to be broken down on the side of the road. One of the biggest fixes, so we'll talk about fixes for PMDs. One of the biggest fixes that you can do is get it away from the high heat source. There are kits often when you look online, Amazon, eBay, you name it, but you can get a relocation kit. And a relocation kit typically consists of a heat sink that the PMD mounts to, okay, to get it away from this high heat source, some common locations where guys will put these is you can firewall mount it, get it away from the motor, mount it on the firewall, mount it on the down in the fender area, maybe close to the fuse box. Or another spot is down in the front under the bumper. So if you can get it down in that area or get it near one of the air intakes on the bumper, there's a lot of different spots you can put it, but ideally what you want to try to do is put it in an area where you're going to get some cooling, you're going to be able to pass some air over these fins, and that's going to keep your pump mounted driver operating in an efficient manner. Another thing that you want to watch out for is when you purchase some of the inexpensive PMDs on the market, this harness, this is called an extension harness. This will allow you to relocate the PMD, up to 3-4 feet away from where its stock location is. And that just plugs directly into the factory harness. So that would plug into there. And then, other end. So you'd plug in on this one here. So it'd plug in like that. And then this end plugs into your PMD. There is a big problem with some of the Chinese versions of these harnesses. And if you get one and your vehicle fails to start, before you assume it's the PMD, check the harness. You could run an ohm test on both ends to make sure you have good continuity through each of the lines. If you don't, if any of these are not providing continuity between them, then this harness is no good. I have personally experienced getting a bad harness and you automatically assume that, oh geez, I got another bad PMD. It can be the harness. Easy way to tell is take the extension harness out, plug your new PMD directly into the harness on the pump mounted driver, and just fire the truck up. If the truck starts, PMD is good, harness is bad. So, when you're dealing with these, you definitely have some diagnostic steps that you have to go through if you're having trouble getting your truck started or running or what have you. But when you buy a good quality aftermarket one, normally these will be all individually color coded. Some of the inexpensive offshore ones that I've seen, all the wires are colored the same. And they don't make a good connection, or they've done it where they've crimped the wire and they've actually crimped the outer casing of the wire and made no connection to the wire itself. So you have to watch stuff like that. Make sure you have a good quality harness. Make sure you have a good quality PMD. Get it away from the heat source. Mount it somewhere where you can get good airflow across it. And it also makes it easier to service in the event that it does fail on you somewhere down the road. So make sure that when you install your PMD that you have a good quality heat sink that will pull heat away from the module and keep it running as cool as possible. Another part of a PMD, you can't really see it, with how we're filming this, but inside of here is a resistor, and you'll often hear these resistors spoken about when you go to order a PMD. So the resistor inside the PMD adjusts fuel solenoid timing, and so there's a few different values, and we'll talk about that in a second. If you don't install a resistor, the ECM may default to a limp mode, reducing engine performance, and it can trigger an error code, which is a P1216, and it can cause a hard start or a rough running condition. So you have to have the resistor inside the module. There are different resistor values. So you can get a resistor value anywhere from 1 through 7. 1 through 9, and number 5 is typically the factory default. Higher values will increase fuel injection duration and potentially can boost performance with a higher value. So if you've decided to go to a larger turbo, perhaps you may want to add more fuel, which means you need to move up in the resistor value or resistor numbering sequence. Typical resistor choices, so stock or daily driving, you would want to stick with resistor number 5. Mild performance increase, you might go to resistor 7 or 9. And if you're more economy focused, you might want a number 3 or a number 4 resistor. You want to try to avoid any extreme changes without tuning, and the wrong resistor can cause you some performance issues. So the PMD resistor is very easy to change. There's a little hole slot inside of them. You can just get in there with a pick and gently pull that resistor up. It's just a pressure fit over top of the pins themselves. So after basically your steps when you do the relocation is you're going to, get access to the PMD, remove the PMD from the side of the pump. You're going to plug in your extension harness, and from there, you're going to look to see which way you can run the extension harness safely, and that will help you also tell, what kind of range you have for mounting the PMD in another location that will get better cooling. So, and then it's as simple as fire the truck up and away you go. There's no resets or anything that you have to do when you change the PMD module. But it's a pretty straightforward operation. So I hope that helps you in understanding, what a PMD is, what it does, what kind of effects it can have. And we'll show you the PMD mounted on the truck and, show you actually the difference between the PMD we have on it now and its hard start condition. And we'll also show you, going to a better quality PMD, how much easier the truck is going to start and improve our overall drivability and remove the concern of breaking down on the side of the road. So stay tuned and we'll bring you back and show you where all of this is set up on a truck as an example and what you can do on yours. All right, hey everybody. So we're in the truck and I'm going to do a cold start fire up for you. And this is with a PMD module that was a budget Amazon unit we bought. And I'll just give you a sense of what can happen, when you have a PMD module that, yes, it works, but it's not quite right for the truck. Or there's still something, that was missed in the design of this particular PMD. This one causes the truck to have a rough start on initial fire up, and it also causes the cruise control to not work. So no matter what we've tried, the cruise control does not work with this PMD in use. But we'll just turn this around so you can see the gauges and everything, and we'll fire the truck up and you'll get a sense of what it does. All right, so here we are. We're going to do a cold start on the truck. So let it prime. We'll wait for the glow plug to go out. All right, and we'll give it a start. You can hear the truck struggling to run. So now if we shut the truck off, and this seems to be the process with this PMD, we'll shut it off. We'll give it a second. Wait for our glow plug light to go out. Fire it up. And now the truck runs smooth without any issues. So ignore the check engine light. That is to do with overboost. I've got a aftermarket turbocharger on this truck, and every once in a while it trips the overboost trouble code. So but as you saw, that is the symptom of a inexpensive PMD at work. So every single time this truck, when you do your first start, it is a difficult start. It kind of chugs and bogs and bucks, and then you shut the ignition off, turn it back on, and even if we do it again here, the truck will fire right up without any issue. And here we go. So you saw there, you saw the truck fire up. As we said a couple times now, had a bit of a rough start with the inexpensive PMD, and then you shut it off and fire it up, and it fires up no problem and runs and drives great. Again, the only other issue I have with this one is no cruise control. So we'll bring you back for our next, sorry about that. We'll bring you back again for our next video where we're going to take this PMD out. We'll show you where we relocated it to, and we're going to be putting in the AVP PMD that we purchased, a US made one, and you know, verify that truck fires up without issue, and that we get our cruise control back. So stay tuned, and we'll bring you back when we do that next step. All right, so we're back in the garage, and we've got the truck pulled partially in, and we're going to show you where we did the PMD relocation to. So I'm just going to flip the camera around here, and we'll show you how we have it mounted. All right, so we have the truck pulled partially into the garage, and the next thing that we're going to do is show you exactly where we have the PMD relocated to, and then we're going to go ahead and take out this Amazon budget unit we put in, and put in our higher quality unit from AVP, and see what kind of difference we have in both the startup and if we get our cruise control back. So those were the issues, as I mentioned before, that were causing us some grief. So let's get to it. Okay, so to start off, you can just see the fuel pump down there. That's under the intake manifold, and our harness is plugged in, our extension harness, and then put a little bit of heat sleeving on it just to make sure that you know, we don't have any kind of issue with the wires getting overly hot or becoming brittle. So we've got that, and then that follows down and basically goes down to the front end of the truck here, where we took and put our relocation right underneath here. So that is a possible spot that you can use, and our PMD, you'll see, is just up there. So sits on top of the cooling fins, mounted to the front end of the truck, which, you know, it's up out of the way. Really, you know, I don't go off-road or anything terribly with this truck, so, you know, having it down in that spot works out really good and keeps the unit nice and cool. So next step, we're gonna remove it and swap over the PMD, and then we'll fire it up and see what it does. All right, so we have our new PMD mounted to our heat dissipation aluminum heat sink, and there's the old one. So you can see they basically look the same. Now I'm just going to try and show you. So the resistors, so this one has a 1A resistor in it, which actually would provide less fuel to the truck. So that can, of course, also be a problem. Sometimes you have to try different resistors to see if you can, what the truck likes best for fueling. This one, if we look down inside, let's see if we can get it to focus here for you. So there's the new resistor, and that one has a value of 9, it looks like. So we're going to give that a try. That's the top end resistor, and we'll see how the truck likes that, if it runs better with it, so meaning it's giving it a fair bit more fuel. We do, like I said, we have an aftermarket turbo on this truck. We're running a little bit more boost, so having a little bit more fuel should be good. So let's get this installed on the truck and fire it up and see what it does. Okay, so we have the PMD switched out now. We're going to fire the truck up here and see how it sounds, how it starts with the new PMD and the higher value resistor. So here we go. All right, let's take this for a drive and see how it behaves. Just get out to a spot where we can test the cruise control out and get a feel for everything overall. PMDs can be very, very finicky, and for those of you that have had issues with it, you definitely know. And like I said, it's definitely a good idea to keep a spare in your vehicle with you, because you just never know when they're going to go out on you. Worst part is, I've had this happen where you're on the road home from somewhere and all of a sudden the PMD decides that it's going to pack it in, and everything's kind of warm on a summer day, and that's probably your best case scenario, is a summer day and not a winter day. But as you're driving, all of a sudden the truck will just shut off. You have everything, you have no more acceleration, you have nothing. The truck just powers down, and your dash lights, everything else seems to be on and working, but your engine is no longer running. And so if you're in the middle of traffic, you've got to try to find a safe way to get the truck to coast over to the side, because for sure you'll likely be sitting there for 15 or 20 minutes while you wait for the PMD to cool down. And then once it cools down, fingers crossed, you'll be able to restart your vehicle and head about your way. So that's best case scenario. There's the other likelihood that once it packs it in, and if you don't have a spare, well, then you're going to be stuck. So definitely a little bit more fuel with this PMD. I can see a little bit of dark exhaust coming out the pipes, so we're definitely putting a little bit more fuel to the motor. So we may step that down and go to like a number 5 resistor, try to back the amount of fuel being used down, because we want to try to get as much economy as we can with this. But it's definitely sounds good, it's running good. We're just on a side road right now, so as soon as we can get onto the highway here, we'll give a test to the cruise control. See how that's all working. Definitely not, for me, not the type of person that likes to roll coal or, have a whole bunch of excessive fuel going out the tailpipe. The fuel costs here in Canada are quite high right now, and, every little bit you can conserve and keep an efficient running motor, the better. So, unless your company pays for fuel, then it's better to conserve. So, okay, we're just coming up to a traffic light here, and we're going to get on the highway, and then we'll give our cruise control a spin here and see if everything's working right. Good acceleration, nice and smooth. And with this aftermarket turbo we're making, when you start to get into the throttle, we're at about 10 pounds of boost, and then starts to back down as we get to a cruising speed. And we're almost up at 100 kilometers an hour, about 60 miles an hour here. Switch on the cruise control, and we're going to give it a try. And it's working, so we got our cruise control back. We had lost it with the other PMD. It just was not working at all, and now it's working beautifully. So, success. I'm really happy with that. So there you have it. An inexpensive Amazon unit versus a better quality made in the USA AVP module, and can make all the difference in the world. So, this truck will cruise down the highway nicely. We're doing 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour. Runs at 7 pounds of boost. If you've seen our other videos, go back and check them out. We've done a cooling system upgrade on this truck, which we run basically a number 8 line that's wide off from the front of the motor to the back cylinder head ports, and to help balance the water flow. So right now it's a cool day here. It's about 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, and truck hasn't been running that long, but we're cruising down the highway 100 kilometers an hour, and the temperature on the truck, we're at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So even on a really hot summer day after we did the upgrade on it, we were only hitting temps of it would take it quite a while to actually get up to 195 degrees Fahrenheit. So the cooling system upgrade really helped a bit, helped the truck out. We'll probably downgrade that line size a little bit, because we're probably in cooler months more than we're in warmer months. So I think I might go down to a number 6 AN hose size, and just kind of restrict that water flow just a little bit, because I'd like the truck to warm up a little faster in the winter time. But overall, that upgrade was amazing. So thanks for tuning in. We would appreciate it if you can like, subscribe, and if you like this content, share it with your friends. And we'll try and bring you more 6.5 diesel content as we work on different aspects of this truck and continue to improve it. But that's all for today, and have a great day. Remember to like and subscribe.